Hey everybody, Jason here. First off, I have not made any videos in a while, and I'm sure you guys were expecting that. I'm sorry. I was very busy over the holiday season. And then I was sick for 2 weeks around Christmas, and then after New Year's I got slammed with orders. So today I got a free day, and I'm going to get back to the video making for you. This video I'm not going to show you how to make a leather product. I'm going to show you how to make a template for a knife sheath, which I probably should have done a while ago. You know, I've got many. I've started this leatherworking series, and now like I'm going back and forth, trying to do things in a good order, I guess. But anyway, so you know, this is a knife that I have that I made, and this is the sheath for it. And I'm going to use this knife to show you guys how I make a template, and maybe that'll help you out. For a lot of you out there watching, you probably already know how to make a sheath. For you beginners, you know, well, maybe you know how to make a sheath from watching all these videos, but how do you make a template to make a good sheath? And so that's what I'm going to show you. I mean, a sheath, if you've got a really nice knife and you want to make a sheath for it, you know, the sheath can make or break how the knife is carried, and also the look of it. You know, you don't want to just cut out a piece of leather, fold it over and stitch it. I mean, you want to make a sheath functional, and you want it to look good. I mean, you should at least. So I'll show you how to make a template and design it, and that way you can kind of use that process and design your own sheaths however you want. Alright guys, get yourself a piece of graph paper, your square, scissors, pen, a stencil with some circles, and one of these, I don't know the correct term for this, I believe it's a sewer's tape measure, whatever you call it, these floppy ones. Get one of these, and your knife, and that's pretty much all you need to make the actual template itself, and we'll go from there. Okay, so one thing I want to show you before I actually start showing you, I'm trying to get this up close so you can see. The space between the welt of the sheath and the knife is virtually only a couple millimeters. You got the folding over, there's the welt, and there's not much space in it. That's what you want to go for. So we're going to wrap that tape around the knife and pretend that we're going to put about a 1/2 inch welt in there, or 3/8. 3/8 would probably be better. But you can see how much space, there's not much at all. And it makes it it gives it a nice tight fit. That's what you want to go for. You want the sheath to be as tight as possible so your knife doesn't fall out. So think of it like this. We're going to wrap this tape around the knife to come up with the width, and we're basically going to be doing kind of like this. You're going to be measuring the sheath like this. Okay, so let's say the sheath isn't made yet, even though I have one made. So you're going to take your knife and you're going to wrap this tape around like this. And what you're going to do is pull this in as far as you can and pretend you put your fingers where you pretend you want to cut it, and you want to give yourself about 3/8 to 1/2 inch welt space right there. And so I think that's about it. That's about 4. I think it's about 4 3/4 of an inch. I do already have a template made for this, but I'm not going to pull it out right now. I want to see how close I can come by just making another one. I'm actually thinking it might have been 5 inches. But I'm going to go with 4. I'm going to go with 4 3/4. If you can kind of see that, you just wrap this around. You know, you're going to have to go off on how much you want it to fold over and how thick your welt is going to be. And I think for this, 4 3/4 is going to work. That's pretty much all you need as far as how wide to make it. Once you have that, the rest is actually pretty easy. So we have 4 3/4. Alright, so now we're going to put a line directly down the center of the paper. Flip this around so we got 4 3/4 inches, which is about 4 3/4. What's half of 4 3/4 is 2 3/8, I believe. 2 3/8. So this is actually going to be in the middle. I'm not actually going to be drawing a line on the lines of the graph paper, but that's okay. Yep, 4 3/4. Alright, so then we're going to take the width measurement that we did right there, 4 3/4, and we're going to draw a line down the graph paper like this. Whoops, I just moved it. On the other side. So if any of you have ever actually ordered a sheath off me or sent me your knife to have a sheath made, this is exactly how I do it. Okay, so now you've got this. Let's draw that down, it doesn't matter. You've got 4 3/4. This is basically one piece of leather here that would fold over the knife. Now, what I'll do, now that we have those 3 lines, I'm going to put the knife in the center, kind of roll it over a little bit, and that's good. Now, you want to get this curve. That's not, that's up to you. I'll tell you how I do that. I use this a lot, one of those stainless steel bowls. And you can use whatever you want to make a circle, or you can square it off. So I'm going to hold my pen here, put the bowl to it, trace around there. And again, right at the bottom of the where the sheath would be, I'm going to hold the pen there and then push the bowl over to the edge of the line. There. Now you got the bottom of the sheath where the blade's pretty much going to fit in like that, which is almost matches it perfectly. Okay, now we do the top here. How high do you want it? I like my sheaths really high. I like them to go up almost 2/3, 3/4. The more handle that is inside the sheath, the more of a tight fit you'll get. And I always have a slight curve. I don't make the top of the sheaths, as you can see, it curves down, it's not straight. So we're going to go, I'm going to go there. Now I'll take this, from this point, I'm going to go down 1/2 inch, which is going to be there. And there's the top of the sheath. Let's see how close I'm getting here. I think that's a little bit higher than the one I made, but that's fine. Okay, belt loop. You got to think about how this is going to be folded. We'll do the belt loop. You may, as you can see, I really don't have enough room right here. But let's pretend we do. So I'm going to make an 1 inch wide belt loop. And this you can kind of just hand draw. Okay, I don't suggest that you leave it like this, you cut it out, and then your sheath goes to a sharp right angle right there. So what I'll do is I'll take, you can just kind of hand draw a little curve right there, and you can do the same thing over here. And that way, when you make the sheath, the edges are much easier to slick also, because you got a nice curved and comes out looking like that, instead of having a crazy right angle right there. This is what it kind of looks like when you give it the belt loop, those curves. Honestly, sometimes I'll tape another piece of graph paper up here to get this longer, but I'm not going to do that. So let's pretend we've got this long enough. And I'm going to take my 1 inch circle, and there you go. Honestly, I would probably, this belt loop, I'd probably go up about 4.5 inches. You want to take into consideration you're going to have about probably at least 1 inch curve on your belt loop. This belt loop is actually probably almost just maybe 1/2 inch too long. Most people wear 1.5 inch thick belt, and that's all you need to go in there. If you make this belt loop any bigger, it's going to slide up and down your belt. So this is obviously way too small, but if you're making this, you know, tape on another piece of paper. If you got some bigger paper, add on maybe another inch, inch and a half there. And so that's it. And then, you know, you cut it out. I'll cut it out and I'll be right back. Okay. So we got it cut out. That's it. Really, really easy actually. And if we place this, what you want to do is when you take the template out, once you have it cut out, is you want to actually wrap it around the knife. And if you can see, you can kind of mock this up. You can fold this over and bring down the belt loop. As you can see, it was way too small. You want to add on another inch and a half or so. But that's the mock of your sheath right there. So what you can do is you put this inside, put your knife inside, and wrap it around. And I'll bring this up to the camera so you can see that. So here's the paper wrapped around, and we've got just about 3/8 to a half inch for the welt in there, and that will work. That'll work. Now, keep this in mind when you put this on the leather to trace it. Depending on if you put it on the leather this way or this way, will determine whether it's a left or right side carry. And I've totally messed up doing that. The easiest way is just to fold it over and pretend it's a sheath, and you'll see what side it goes on. So this would be for carrying on your right side. So then this goes on the leather like that. If you want a left-hand carry, turn it over. That's simple. But always keep that in mind. I accidentally made like 5 sheaths one time that were all left-handed, and they were supposed to be right-handed. I screwed up. So bear that in mind. This is a basic fold-over sheath. There's many different designs you can do. As far as, you know, the curving here, you could make it, you square it off almost like a tanto. A lot of guys do more of a bushcraft style. Okay, let's say your blade's sitting in here like this, right? Your handle's gonna come in here pretty kind of thick. You could probably actually bring this in if you wanted to, kind of like this, you know, and then they have that stitching and it goes like that, kind of that bushcraft stuff. You could do that also. So once you have like the basic thing, you can work off of that. Many different styles. Also, once you trace this onto the leather, you cut your leather piece out, you know, you could wet mold it. You don't have to make it just a fold over. If this were the leather, you know, you can fold it over and start wet molding and stuff and also do that. But that's just the basic way how I use to make a template for a sheath. And the biggest thing for me is using one of these. That's what I use. I wrap this around right about here where the knife and the handle are going to go in the sheath. Wrap this around and give yourself about a 1/2 inch to 3/8 space right there, and that's it. And once you have that measurement, the rest is easy. You measure, we said 4 3/4, line down the middle so you can get an even side, and that's it. Not too hard, actually pretty easy, and that'll work for many different knives. When you start having knives that have the big hilt or around there, you may not even want to make a fold over, make a pancake sheath or something. But for something, a style like this, perfect. So I think that's it. Got any questions? Leave me some questions or comments after the video. And that's it. Thanks, guys.